All right, welcome to our Board of Supervisors meeting for the 1st of August. Can you believe it? Here we are, August 1st. I've asked Supervisor Brandon to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, so if you'll all rise.
Raise the flag. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Oops. All right, thank you. So, as most of you here know, when we start our meetings and before we have our first oral communications about anything that is not on the agenda, I just remind people that we are a community, a county that cares for each other and helps each other out in times of need. And in this boardroom, we are respectful and courteous to each other, and I like to add a touch of kindness to that. So with that, every meeting, I start off with a quote from somebody you've probably heard of, and I think today this person all of you have heard of. He was our 16th President of the United States, Abraham Lincoln. And here's what he had to say. Kindness is the only service that will stand the storm of life and not wash out. It will wear well and will be remembered long after the prism of politeness or the complexion of courtesy has faded away. All right, thank you. And with that, we will open up to oral communications. For anything that is not on the agenda, you have 3 minutes, and come on up. Good morning.
I'm Diane Bennett, Executive Coordinator for the Tuolumne Fire Safe Council, and I'm here to remind the public that you have one last chance to be a member of our community input for the Community Wildfire Protection Plan. We really, really do want to hear from you for some guidance in what you go in the plan. And this last workshop will be this Saturday, August 5th, 9:30 a.m. at the Elks Lodge in Sonora, and you do not have to be a resident of Sonora or the Sonora area to participate. It's open to the entire county. And thank you for your time.
Thank you, Diane. Good morning.
Good morning. Have you guys seen Sound of Freedom yet? I've been aware of this movie for several years, so I was particularly curious as to why it was being suppressed for so long and why it has been under attack by so many in the media. And after finally seeing the movie, I can't think of a legitimate reason as to why the movie should be suppressed and attacked. Like all movies, some details may be changed for theatrical reasons, but Tim Ballard is a real person, and the rescued kids are real kids. It's verifiable. It's also extremely well produced with great acting. Normally, Hollywood and the media would be embracing a movie like this. There would already be talk of the Oscars, but of course there isn't. And so it makes me wonder why. And I certainly hope that it's not for the reasons that many people are talking about. I think we tend to believe that these things only happen in faraway lands, but it's said that the United States is the largest consumer of human sex trafficking. And while sex trafficking may be one of the worst, it's not just sex, and it's not far away. Just last week in Merced, 60 migrants were rescued from slave labor in the marijuana industry. And there have been several other extremely concerning incidents even closer to home, and I'm concerned especially with the casinos that it may be happening right under our noses. It's extremely frustrating to see so many in government and media spend so much time discussing our slavery sins of the past while completely ignoring the slavery sins of the present. Maybe the marijuana dispensaries should pay reparations to the 60 migrants who just experienced modern slavery. And maybe our county should send a letter to the state legislature asking them why they initially voted down proposed legislation to increase the penalties for convicted child sex traffickers. I guess for some, it's just easier to talk about the problems from our past than it is to actually correct the current problems. God help us. Heavenly Father, thank you for our sheriff's office. Please empower them and our DA's office with everything they need to help keep human trafficking out of our county. Thank you for people like Tim Ballard. I pray for more people like him. I also pray for more resources, better laws, more awareness, and more unity against this evil. It takes a special kind of evil to enslave another human being for personal gain, especially children. Please help us fight this. I pray for the victims. Remove this evil from humanity. Lord, please protect your children. In Jesus' precious name I pray. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, I'll close oral. Well, come on up.
Hi, I'm John Flynn. Good morning to the County of Tuolumne Corporation. I wish we have cooler weather at the moment, but we don't. Anyways, you gave a quote. I'm going to read you a quote, Kathleen Half, and for the board. I am only one, but I am one. I cannot do everything, but I can do something. And I will not let what I cannot do interfere with what I can do. And an army of one can get a lot done, and that what I just said there was for Dave T., former SOJ chapter president. Okay, now what I want to talk about is your opening statement of public comment. You state here that it says our board values public participation and encourages community members to take the time to provide comment on matters of county interest. I would like you to reinstate Zoom for people who live in Groveland, the interior part of Tuolumne County, ranchers, cattle ranchers, livestock growers, people who can't come here and do it in person like I'm doing because of the cost of gasoline. And that's disingenuous to say that they can't call in by Zoom. It's a great technology, and they can stay at home, participate, and then call it in. And I think you should reinstate that for everyone. Okay, that's out of the way. Now the county grand jury, 22-23, Robert J. Canavan, four-person. There's enough criticism going around for him that he said complained about, and though you don't have any control over this part, they didn't have, I'm talking to him right now. Sir, you could have gone to, you don't have any county buildings to meet. You could have met here in the boardroom. You have 2 courthouses you can meet in Sonora. You have church halls you can meet at. You don't need to meet at a county building. So your excuse of saying it was really hard to get by and backpacks and lunches, that's phony. So we'll stop right there. The next the next county board civil grand jury for 2023 to 2024, 19 jurors, 11 are from the city of Sonora. Why? That's a question I have. And then 22nd, my notes are in there. No. Kimberly Freeman, County Health Director, I mentioned last time. Assembly Bill 665, legal kidnapping of children in schools by school officials. You have to sign off on it. Can I get an update? Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm Jim Garcia, the District Manager for Waste Management, and I wanted to thank the public for their understanding while we had a technical issue last week when the transfer station needed to close. It was a combination of a vendor issue and a mechanical issue. We were able to stay open for all of the trash collection companies, but unfortunately had to close for the public for a little while just to make sure that we didn't have any environmental or safety issues. So appreciate the public's understanding why we did that. We'll take what we'll learn, kind of work with our vendors and try to avoid that situation again in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? All right, well, I'll close the oral communications section, and we will move on to staff reports. Any county staff have something you want to tell the board or the public? Please come on up. Hi there.
Good morning, Board. Kim Freeman, your Public Health Officer. I'm here today to introduce Carrie Rogers. She's here to be our nurse practitioner on the Local Indigent Care Needs Grant-funded mobile van, which we're going to get out literally rolling soon. She comes to us from Contra Costa County, recently retired there after more than 20 years as a nurse practitioner. She's worked in acute and chronic care for both adults and pediatrics, and worked in public health, and worked on a mobile van. So it's a beautiful mix that will hopefully help our community immensely.
Welcome.
Good morning, welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Freeman. Good morning.
My name's Lindsay Lujan. I'm a Deputy Director with Behavioral Health. And today, Tuolumne County Behavioral Health would like to highlight the success of our community partners who contract to provide the prevention and early intervention programs for Tuolumne County residents. These partners administer the suicide awareness, prevention, and early intervention programs on behalf of the county mental health plan. The various service programs and outreach events are made possible through the funding through Mental Health Services Act, or MHSA. In fiscal year 22-23, the Behavioral Health Plan contracted with 6 different community organizations for education, outreach, prevention, and intervention. These were Jamestown Family Resource Center, Tuolumne Miwok Indian Health Center, Promotores de Salud, Catholic Charities, Amador Tuolumne Community Action Agency, or ADCA, Verse 5, and Infant Child Enrichment Services, or ISIS. When considering the expectation for the use of MHSA funding for prevention and early intervention, these community-based organizations were able to successfully support Tuolumne County in the mental health prevention and intervention efforts and show some really amazing outcomes. I'd like to highlight each of these programs that were offered. ISIS offered the Raising Healthy Families program through these funds, which offers a nurturing parenting program. ISIS was able to reach 78 families in the last fiscal year through this evidence-based strategy for improving parenting outcomes for families and the community. 89% of all participants were able to increase their knowledge in at least one of the following areas: expectation of children, empathy, discipline, family roles, or power and independence. Through First 5, the Supporting Early Education and Development, or SEED program, is afforded through the MHSA funding. This early intervention program utilizes early childhood education specialists to provide on-site training, consultation, and materials to preschools in the community. This program is inclusive to varying developmental levels and needs. Through this program, 112 children were served in the classroom in Tuolumne to support youth mental health early intervention. Catholic Charities offers the Connection and Awareness for Elders, or CAFE program. This program is for those who are 65 or older in Tuolumne County who are underserved, unserved, experiencing isolation, or feelings of loneliness. These trained staff utilize engagement strategies such as in-home visits, counseling, group counseling, referrals, and resources to provide socialization and support to this specific population. Promotores de Salud provide outreach to the Latino community within Tuolumne County. They offer outreach, education, support, and referrals to this population. Promotores are from the Latino community themselves, which fosters relationship building and trust, which is absolutely essential in intervention and outreach work. Through this funding, the promotores were able to reach over 50 community members that may have never received mental health services. Tuolumne Miwok Indian Health Center provides prevention and early intervention services to anyone in need, but specifically targets the Native American population for both youth and families. These programs are designed with a specific focus on connections with Native American culture, such as sweat lodges, traditional beading, and talking circles. Offering mental health prevention services through honoring the cultural beliefs and spirituality of Native American traditions helps allow individuals to receive services through cultural lens. Through these services, Tuolumne Miwok was able to reach almost 150 individuals. ADCA provides county-wide suicide prevention and stigma reduction services. This program provides community training, education, and information to raise awareness about the warning signs of suicidality, as well as how to recognize that a person might be dealing with mental health issues or be in a crisis. ADCA's trainings, such as Safe Talk, Assist, Mental Health First Aid, and Youth First Aid, are all part of their programs that are sponsored by MHSA. Each person learns the signs of suicidal ideation and what to do during these trainings. They can then share and educate those around them, share what they learn, spread the word of mental health wellness, reduce stigma, and intervene when they detect a loved one or an individual is struggling. ADCA completed prevention trainings throughout the county, educating nearly 100 individuals. Training people to recognize the signs of suicide, they can save a life, and it's the most effective approach to the prevention of suicide. Anyone, regardless of background or experience, can learn these skills and keep someone in their lives safe and alive. Through these programs, behavioral health has reached countless individuals that may have never considered mental health care. The contractors are an extended branch of the mental health plan. They offer knowledge, referrals, and support to our community around mental health education, prevention, and other services. The best way to prevent suicide and to prevent mental illness is for our community to become aware of the issues. Then we can talk, we can take action, we can help friends and families and coworkers on what to do and who to call. The work done by these community organizations is often unseen, and today we would like to thank them all for the continued dedication to this work in Tuolumne County. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, Board. Dory Beats, your Office of Emergency Services Assistant Director. I have two quick updates. Just a reminder for both the Board and the public that we are in the process of updating our Emergency Operations Plan, or EOP. We have the second draft out now for public review. You can go to our website, Tuolumne County, search OES and Emergency Operations Plan. We are taking comments from the public until August 8th on that second draft. We will then work towards a final draft that will be completed by the beginning of September. It then goes through Cal OES's checklist and that process for approval, and then we'll bring it back to the board, or we'll bring it to the board for approval in October. So giving a little timeline on that. We do have flyers as well circulating, but we really are encouraging the public to participate in that process. Second, I want to update the board and the public and about FEMA extending its filing date for individual assistance under the last storm. And I have our friend here, Chad Bowman, FEMA External Affairs, to give you a more specific update on numbers.
Good morning, and thank you for having me again. I do want to give that update. We have great news. The deadline to register for individual assistance has been extended to September 1st. The original deadline was July 20th, and it is now September 1st, which means individuals in the community have until September 1st to register with FEMA if they suffered any damage or believe they suffered damage from the February and March storms. So if any resident or community member believes they have suffered damage, there may not be a DRC recovery center open, but you can get in touch with FEMA and apply for assistance through disasterassistance.gov or call the 800 number at 800-621-3362. While here today, I do want to provide some updated numbers as far as the individual assistance that has been provided to Tuolumne County. Tuolumne was declared on April 5th. There was a disaster recovery center which closed on May 6th. The disaster recovery center had 592 visitors with 183 registrations as of its closing date. As of yesterday, July 30th, close of business, There have been 1,272 registrations, and we are just shy of $3.5 million approved in individual assistance for Tuolumne County. Currently, the eligibility rate of those applying continues to climb, and it has reached its highest level yet at just over 53% of those who are applying. These numbers are phenomenal and fantastic for the county, and we do have to thank not only the FEMA team, but the county team as well for getting this information out to the community and making sure that the community members have an understanding of what to look for when applying. So thank you very much for all of your assistance, and we are pleased to be out here in this county. May not have a physical presence every day at this time, but Dory knows where to find me, and we are always available online or through the 800 number. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other staff reports? Seeing none, I'll go ahead and close staff reports, and we'll move on to the consent calendar. And Heather, would you please read all the items on our consent calendar?
Happy to. Item number 1, approving the minutes of the July 18, 2023 meeting. Item number 2, adopting Resolution 71-23, terminating a local state of emergency due to impacts created by winter storm that began February 21st, 2023. Item number 3, awarding a contract in the amount of $2,060,927 to George Reed, Inc. to perform the work as shown in the plans, specifications, and bid book for contract number 1731, Standard Road Rehabilitation Project, and authorizing the chair to sign. This is included in the fiscal year 23-24 budget. Item number 4, awarding a contract in the amount of $701,740 to American Pavement Systems, Inc. to perform the work as shown in the plans and bid book for contract numbers 1765, 1766, and 1767, 2023 Tuolumne County Surface Treatment Project, and authorizing the chair to sign. This is included in the fiscal year 23-24 budget. Item number 5, approving amendment number 1 to the agreement between the Columbia Fire Protection District and the County of Tuolumne for the administration and operations of the fire department, and authorizing the chair to sign. Item number 6, waiving the first reading of an ordinance correcting a clerical error in Exhibit A 3437, adopted by the Board of Supervisors on June 20th, 2023, and setting a second reading for adoption on August 15th, 2023. Item number 7, approving an agreement between Tuolumne County and Mike McConnell Construction for nuisance and hazardous material abatement services for an amount not to exceed $300,000, and authorize the county administrator to sign the agreement and all future related documents. This is included in the fiscal year 23-24 budget. Item number 8, approving 2 grant agreements between the County of Tuolumne through its ambulance service and the United States Department of Agriculture, USDA Rural Development, RD, Emergency Rural Health Care Grant Program totaling $296,400, supporting purchase of 3 ambulances for the time period from May 23, 2022 through May 23, 2027, and authorizing the county administrative officer to sign all related documents included in the fiscal year 23-24 budget. Item number 9, approving an automatic aid agreement between Tuolumne County Fire Department and the Mariposa County Fire Department, and authorize the board chair to sign. Item number 10, approving an agreement between Tuolumne County Department of Social Services and Manuch, Inc. for short-term residential therapeutic program STRTP services for the time period of August 1, 2023 through June 30th, 2024, in an amount not to exceed $275,000. And authorize the county administrative officer to sign all related documents. This is included in the fiscal year 23-24 budget. And finally, item 11, approving an agreement with Baldwin Construction for the Oak Terrace Navigation Center renovation project in an amount not to exceed $158,445 for the period between August 1, 2023 through October 31st, 2023, and authorizing the county administrator to sign all related documents included in the fiscal year 23-24 budget.
Great, thank you. So my first question to the board is, are there any items that you wish to pull? Seeing none, How about comments? Supervisor Kirk.
Real quick, just number 8, ambulance grants. Thank you to Rebecca, Steve Boyack, and team for putting in for that. It's a good thing, so thank you. Those are not cheap, so thank you guys.
Supervisor Campbell.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to highlight item 3 really briefly. This is a very large contract. It's $2 million. And the reason this is on consent is obviously we've discussed Standard Road several times, but I really just wanted to highlight and hammer home the point that our roads department and Public Works is doing a phenomenal job getting out these major projects that I think have been a priority for this board for a very long time. You know, we've had a lot of delays because of the storms that we had, but we're still plugging away on these bigger repair projects, and anybody that's driven Standard Road knows the condition that this portion is in, and so this is a very good improvement. So it's one of the major things that people talk about when they talk about the county is that we need to fix our roads. We are doing that. It is taking a very long time, and it's very costly, but we are still doing that. And so this is clear evidence of that, and I just really wanted to highlight it because I think a lot of the positive things that we do as a county get lost when we just kind of go by our day-to-day business and we talk about things that can be kind of controversial. But while these things are going on, we're still doing extremely good work in the community, and I just really wanted to highlight that, and I hope it doesn't get lost amongst the community that we're doing our job.
Thank you. Anybody else? Yep. Go ahead, Supervisor Goldenberg.
Thank you. No, just wanted to recognize on consent item 4, the projects, and kind of tag along to what Supervisor Campbell was just stating about making progress, and appreciate Public Works moving forward on those. And the other one was the mutual aid agreement, consent item 9, with Mariposa County, and that's an important thing, and thank you.
All right, thank you. And I just wanted to tag on to what Supervisor Campbell said. The Standard Road Rehabilitation Project, item number 3, has been on our agenda for a long time, and actually the first iteration of it was quite a bit more money, I think, and we just couldn't afford that. But the $2 million project is going to afford lots of amenities that we don't currently have. And it will bring our PCI from 30 on that road to 100. So got to congratulate us. Pat on the back, pat on the Public Works back for getting this on its way to being done. And with that, I'll go to the public to see if there's any public comment on any item on the consent calendar.
Good morning again. I know there's a strong desire to get things done and moving along, but I would like to respectfully request that item number 11 be tabled for now. This contract is so vague, and either it's missing a lot of information or there's just a lot of overbilling that I'm seeing here. I could never sign this, ever, if this was my building, which kind of it is because I'm a taxpayer. And I don't see how any of you can sign this the way it sits right now. Just for example, item number 1, it says to take out closet doors, install 4 new hollow core doors in between units, and touch up paint and door handles furnished by others. So the handles and the doors, elsewhere in the contract, it says the doors are also furnished by others. So apparently there's no materials in this particular item. So when we're looking at the $7,800 figure for those 4 doors, based on the hourly rate of $170 an hour, that's the contract rate in the contract, that's approximately 45 hours of labor. I could do those doors in 8 hours, easy, do it dozens of times. I've done it dozens and dozens of times. With a somewhat qualified helper, I think I can do it in less than 3 hours. So, I mean, it's just, either there's, like I said, tons of detail missing there that we're just not seeing, or there's a significant overcharge. That concerns me, and I have similar concerns with each and every item here. Number 7, to run conduit power supplies to the driveway gate. That's pretty much all it says for over $10,000. It doesn't tell us how far they're going, what size conduit, what size wire. Do they have to go through the asphalt or is it just through the dirt? I mean, there's no information. Items number 6 and 9 both refer to inspections that were done by another contractor, Cornerstone Home Inspections, that is referred to, and it's large dollar amounts, but there's no addendum. So I can't look at what those actual inspections were and what the items are that we're supposed to be paying for. So maybe this information is there somewhere. I just think that either the contractor needs to come back with more detail and description of these items, or we need to put it out to bid for somebody else, because this seems like this is the county being taken advantage of again, and I just hate to see that. I know you guys do not want to be taken advantage of, so please just table this for now. It's not a good contract. Thank you.
Thank you. So I do have a question for County Council. I don't think since I've been chair or any time that I've noticed, I've seen a member of the public ask to pull an item. So can you give us protocol for that?
Right. Your board manual says only board members can pull items and table items, so your board has the discretion to decide if you'd like to do that. And then just in response to some of the comments made, this item was set out for bid. There were nobody responded, and so per the ordinance code and the public contracting code, the staff then worked directly with a contractor to come up with this particular contract, just so everybody is aware of what happened.
Okay, I know Supervisor Kirk had a comment.
Yeah, well, so my comment was I got ahead of myself. I was going to pull this item because I met with staff yesterday. I did have similar questions. We can comment on it. I don't know if I need to specifically pull it, but I did want to get some clarifications because I did go through it and I had questions, like I said, with staff, but then yesterday some of it got clarified as far as Mo being part of the process because she has experience with these capital projects, but then also needing to get better clarification about the 170 per man hour per hour, because if you look at the what is it?
Prevailing wage?
Prevailing wage, it seemed to be way out of line with prevailing wage, but then staff was going to clarify what that might entail. So maybe we should, so with that being said, let's pull it, get some clarification on what that 170 per hour was and clean up the conversation a little bit. Yep.
Okay,
All right, take a break.
so we have to take a break then? Okay.
Okay.
So we'll take, Jerry, how long do you need? Like 10? 5? Okay, so we'll take a 5-minute break for technical difficulties. Thank you.
Check 1 2, check 1 2. Check 1 2, check 1 2. Yeah. Cool. Check, check, check.
Calling all board members to come back to your seats. I keep rolling over my skirt. This is not good. So we'll resume now, and we're still on the consent calendar, and I think Supervisor Kirk, you wanted to pull an item?
Yeah, item 11.
Okay. So should we approve the other agenda items first? Let's do that. So I would entertain a motion for everything except item number 11.
Chair, I'll make that motion.
I'll second. Get to Jared.
Okay, so it was moved by Supervisor Campbell and seconded by Supervisor Brandon. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, that carries 5-0. And Heather, would you please read item number 11 again, please?
Item number 11, approving an agreement with Baldwin Construction for the Oak Terrace Navigation Center renovation project in an amount not to exceed $158,445 for the period between August 1, 2023 through October 31, 2023, and authorizing the county administrator to sign all related documents. This is included in the fiscal year 23-24 budget.
So Maureen Frank, you are really good at anticipating our needs. Thank you. You've heard the conversation. There's some kind of question about prevailing wage, about extravagant items on the scope of work, costs actually, for the items, not a whole lot of description. Can you give us some kind of help on understanding what is before us today?
Sure, not a problem. Mo Frank, County Administrator's Office and Capital Projects Director for the county. Prevailing wage is one of my favorite things. It is necessary by government code that all county projects has to pay prevailing wage. It used to be 10, 15 years ago, prevailing wage used to be somewhere around 32% of the project. It is now costing us somewhere between 38 and 40% of the project. It's just outrageous. Prevailing wage depends on it. It's a wage that these type of projects have to pay, and it's based on the profession or the trade classification. So there's a lot of different trade classifications that will be part of this project. Now, this project that won't be as much as for, say, the CRCs or the jail project. There'll probably be about 4 or 5 different trades that I'm assuming Frank Baldwin Construction will have. In order to do this project, either the county and or Frank will have to submit an application to the Department of Industrial Relations, DIR, and in that application, he will need to list the professions or the classifications that he'll be using for this job, and based on their DIR's rate of pay, they'll be listed by that, and that's what he needs to pay his construction workers for that job. That's kind of prevailing wage.
So has that been done yet?
No, because we don't have a contract yet.
So we have to approve
issue
the
the contract.
Okay.
What the county does is goes through. We'll pull a permit with the building department, and then we will go online and make sure that before any work is started, that DIR registration is accomplished.
And could it be a possibility that the costs would be less than what they're stated?
No. This is the cost for not only the wages and the materials, and the time to do the job.
Okay. Other board questions for Mo?
Yeah. So I think what threw me off was I saw the list of everything that's going to cost, which was going to be the one, I don't have it in front of me, the 148 or 150, whatever it was. But then the very last page, it showed that 170 per man hour per person per man hour. I just didn't understand that.
No, and I'm sorry that the contract should have been written a different way, and staff apologizes for that. What the 170 amount is, usually in our standard contracts that would come before your board, we like to have a cost proposal. So that's what was listed here in Baldwin Construction's cost estimate that we provided as part of this. But then if we ever need an additional work added, what county staff likes to have is the rate of pay for each of the professions that is doing the work listed in that contract. So when we go back and have to negotiate additional work, we already have an agreed upon amount of rate of pay that we will be having for any additional work that's being asked of them. So it's not, we're not going to negotiate the rate differently. It's going to be set. Now, the rate of pay that you saw there, Supervisor Kirk, was 170, and as I mentioned to you, as we talked yesterday, that's a blended rate that Frank Baldwin put on this page. I apologize for
So the
that.
contract is the set amount, I think it's 158, and there's or 148, and then there's a $10,000 type of contingency. And then if anything should go above that, then the 170 rate applies to
Yes.
additional, okay. Okay.
That's correct.
All right, so that's it for my question.
Supervisor Campbell.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Mo. Okay, my first question, which is a question I ask frequently, is there general fund dollars involved with this contract?
No, there's not general fund dollars
Okay.
attached to this.
Can you tell me where the money is coming from for this?
Sure, as I believe, it's coming from a variety of sources in which we paid for the navigation centers. So I believe, and Tracy can help me out here, I believe it's the CARES Act and PLHA, Permanent Local Housing Allocation. There is some, I think, HAP money, and then an opioid. So there's a combination of those funds that not only purchase the facility, but will go to renovate the facility.
Okay. And then I'll describe what I think the situation is, and you tell me if that's correct, that we, as a county, are using these monies from state and federal partners primarily, and a lawsuit. The process by which we issue these contracts is not chosen by the county, it's chosen by these agencies that are providing the money. Is that a
Not
fair
exactly.
character? Okay.
So anytime we do an agreement with state and federal funds, there's basically like two levels of procedures or process that county staff have to go through. We have to meet whatever federal and state guidelines are attached, but underlying all of that is all of our state, county, we're a political subdivision of the state of California, rules and regulations apply to this. So both the regulations, like for example, we went out to bid for this project, an RFP. We can't just go hire someone off the street. That is our requirement as a county following the state of California rules and regulations, but it's also a requirement of all the funding sources that we just mentioned.
Okay. And I'm just trying to illustrate the point that we're working within a process that is not necessarily how we would do this if we were using county general fund dollars. And so that's where I think a lot of the confusion lies.
There's a little extra layer, but it's basically the same process we would follow if it was just county dollars. Yeah. Because in some respects, the state of California has stricter, I know it's hard to believe, stricter rules and regulations that we have to follow for procurement.
Okay.
So sometimes there are some incidents in which they are stricter than federal guidelines are.
Okay. But the point is that we're not just blowing money on these things. It's that we're bound to a particular cost for things that
absolutely
like,
not.
For example, I'm no contractor, but I could fix a shed for less than $4,500. I got a hammer and nails and things, but that's coming from the prevailing wage element, and it's just hard to get around that.
Like I said, prevailing wage really hampers staff's ability to be as economical as we'd really like to in doing these type of projects.
And that's a state requirement.
And that's a state requirement.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Supervisor Brandon.
Thank you. I only had one short comment too, is just, it was mentioned by staff that we had one bid on this project. We, in a healthy marketplace, would want to have multiple. We'd want to have,
We had zero.
No
we
bids.
had no bids on it.
oh, I'm sorry, I misheard you saying, Sarah. I thought you said that we had just the one bid there.
We had 3 people attend our bid walk.
Yeah.
2 contractors and 1 subcontractor.
Okay, thank you. Well,
Yeah.
point stands even more then, that's part of the problem is we don't have a lot of competition within a rural area like this where we have companies that are able to meet kind of some of these public project regulations and standards. To be honest, we could use more that do this type of work in rural areas that focus on this. We have the similar things when we have to do mandated work by the Canadian state tells us to go do something. We don't have the necessarily local expertise. Even if those people can do it by the standards they set up at the state that we have to follow, we can't do it. And so then it ends up going to, we find somebody in Modesto or as local as we can, but that sucks because that's always going out of the community. So it's not really a solution on that, but just to explain that is absolutely a challenge. And so you can either change the restrictions, which the state is only adding more to, or you can change who's actually bidding and create more competition in that marketplace. And we kind of have the worst of both worlds, which is a rural issue in the entire state. So anybody out there who might be listening to this, who wants to go through that process, we need more of those companies that focus on this type of work.
Good point. All right. Thank you. Mr. Roberson, did you have any other comments that you wanted to make? Okay. All right. So I have a technical question here, procedural question. We've already kind of put out for comments, but now we pulled this, so I need to put it out again for public comment. So at this time, if anybody has public comments on item number 11, this is the time.
Yes, I would just like to reiterate that my concern wasn't necessarily a concern of prevailing wage. I understand the prevailing wage issue. I was just pointing out the 170 because that was the figure that I used to calculate the actual time required based on $7,800 in order to do that install. So it was more a concern, not so much with prevailing wage, but with the actual bid for how much time it would take to do those particular jobs. Through the whole contract, I have those types of concerns. It seems like they're bidding way too much time. You can consult with any other contractor and ask them, you know, how much goes into this sort of thing. It's just, it doesn't take that long. And so that's a huge concern. And I understand that no other people bid on this, but that doesn't make it a good contract. You know, so that argument is kind of, I just don't really see how that, you know, somehow should justify the fact that we are going to go into a bad contract. There's got to be some other way other than spending, you know, 4 times more than we have to. So, you know, it's just frustrating. This is the kind of stuff that makes the public want to scream, you know, because it's just the government just is so inefficient and gets completely taken advantage of and just feels like they have to move forward anyways. And it's just frustrating. And this is not a good contract. And that was my original point. It wasn't about prevailing wage. It was about the time and the lack of information. And the fact that, you know, it just seems like this is being done on purpose because they know that there's no other bids. And so they can come in and give this high figure and walk out with a lot of profit. And you know, that used to be against the law to overbill for your time. Probably still is, but I guess no one follows up on it. But overbilling for time is a problem. And I can't imagine a situation where it takes 45 hours to install 4 closet doors. My 17-year-old daughter could probably do it, and she's never done one in her life. I'm sure she could do all 4 of them in 48 hours or 45 hours if I just like gave her the materials. So it's just silly. It really is. Sorry.
Thank you.
Just to address the gentleman's question regarding the closets, they're not a simple hanging up the closets. This is a memory care facility previous to our purchase. They're in a corner of the room, and there are ADA concerns and angles in which we have to meet in order to try to frame out the door to meet, as again, I said, ADA standards, but also to be able to get the right dimensions to it. So there's going to be a lot of demolition and then framing of it. So it's not just a hanging of a door.
So, are we doing comment?
Yeah.
I think that's what the gentleman, because I'm sitting up here, I'm not laughing at him, I'm laughing with him because I'm thinking, yeah, I have frame doors in my place as well.
Yeah.
And I think having some of that information not in the packet, it's not really, we're getting into the weeds, right? We really are. But that's why a door is probably going to take long, because if you have to take the sheetrock off and then you got to reframe and then you might have to move some electrical, like I could get how it could start taking longer. I think my concern with this item was we're already under the public eye so much with this project. I really want to make sure we're not getting taken advantage of. And so that's why I met with staff. That's why I wanted to confirm Mo was on site, because she has experience with projects. So as we continue to discuss this, I'm hearing more and more that makes me understand, okay, there's more to the piece, there's more to the picture. I'm sure there's got to be a little bloat in this because it's government work, but I bet if we were to go through each item and maybe have the contractor here, we'd be like, oh yeah, okay, didn't think about that. Okay, didn't think about that. So I'm feeling better from the conversation. I'm still, but I think back to my comment, if we were to look at every single item and have a conversation about every single line item, there would probably be more information that we're not being purviewed to. And so what I would just say is maybe moving forward with anything Oak Terrace related, we just really got to be as much detail oriented as possible, because the public is looking at it. And
Staff concurs, absolutely. Yeah. I think not only Oak Terrace, but in the future, we will endeavor to make sure that things are spelled out a little more, so not only your board, but the community understands the full nature and scope of what's being proposed in this. What's listed on Baldwin Construction's invoice to us, or his scope of work, is very brief and doesn't contain any details.
And that's why it was important for you to be there, be on site, and have this conversation. So I feel more confident. Again, I get the gentleman's concern, because that's why I pulled it, and that's why we had conversations with staff yesterday. So, and I'm not saying you need to do this with everything, because we look at contracts all day, but I'm just saying specifically for Oak Terrace, if we could just, as much information as possible, it would help. So.
Yeah, I do think it's important to do it on all of the items that we have, because construction is very hard to understand. It's extremely costly these days. Yeah. And so to explain what is going into this cost, I think would be important for the public, because it's hard. Things cost a lot. And then on top of that, you put prevailing wage, and it just adds to, I think, every taxpayer's frustration on county projects that we have.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Any other board comments on this? If not, go ahead.
No, just one briefly, and I get, the concerns that are happening here. Recently, saw some numbers that surprised me with homeowners insurance and replacement values, and discussions of $300 a square foot. So the pricing, gets really up there quickly, but I understand the prevailing wage concerns, and I have, similar concerns.
So at this point, what is the will of the board?
Well, I pulled it, so we can go ahead and make a motion, and just with the understanding, anything Oak Terrace related, just as much detail as possible.
So are you making
I'll make
that
a motion to approve the contract, or move on staff recommendations.
Okay, so it was moved by Supervisor Kirk and seconded by Supervisor Campbell. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Carries 5-0. Thank you. All right, at this point, we'd like to move on to the proclamations and commendations section. And Heather, would you please read item number 12?
Item number 12, consideration of adopting Resolution 72-23, proclaiming the month of August 2023 as Child Support Awareness Month.
And I understand we have Ms. Julie Prado here.
Morning.
Good morning.
My name is Julie Prado. I'm the Executive Director of the Central Sierra Child Support Agency, and I'm really thrilled to be with you this morning. Thank you for letting us put this item on your agenda. Our goal today is to highlight the work of our staff and make sure the community understands the services that we provide. As Heather read, the month of August nationwide is Child Support Awareness Month, and we use this opportunity to, let me take a moment, let me pause, introduce Kim Britt. She is our Assistant Director. She's here with me today. helps lead the organization in very important ways. August is Child Support Awareness Month nationwide, and the goal with the program is to highlight the work that we do and make sure that the community understands the services that we provide. We do travel to each of our 4 counties during this month to make sure that we highlight this work. Every county in the state of California has a Department of Child Support Services. Tuolumne's County Department of Child Support Services is Central Sierra Child Support Agency. We operate under the JPA format. We've joined services with Amador, Alpine, and Calaveras counties. So between the 4 counties, we operate as one organization, and we serve the community of over 4,400 cases at this time, which represents nearly 10,000 children. We have offices in each of the 4 counties. Our main offices are here in Sonora and in Jackson. We have just a small staff of 28, which we've downsized from 48 just 5 years ago. So we are becoming very, very efficient. We are funded 1/3 by the state, 2/3 by the federal government. We have been able to operate within that budget and ask for 0 general fund dollars from any of our 4 counties. We're very proud of the work that we do. We offer child support services not only in child support collections. We service families in going to court, obtaining child support orders, understanding the paternity, parentage, proving that when it's necessary, standing alongside of them in court, filing paperwork, collecting child support, making sure that medical insurance is there for the children from both parents. We offer our services free of charge. Any participant can open a case, mother, father, grandparent, any caretaker, anybody who's in need of child support services. And we want to make sure that we have the public's make sure that the public understands that we have more capacity to serve more families. As was read, we are asking that you proclaim the month of August as Child Support Awareness Month. We, like I said, are a small staff of 28. We're collecting nearly $11 million, hopefully over $11 million this federal fiscal year. Nearly $5 million of that stays here within the county of Tuolumne. About half of our caseload is represented by families in Tuolumne, and the other half is a combination of the other 3 counties. So with that, I would like to thank certainly Supervisor Campbell and Supervisor Kirk. Supervisor Kirk is currently chairing our board. Supervisor Campbell, also sits on our board, as many of you have. I think all of you except for Supervisor have sat on our board. We are very grateful for your leadership and your support as we continue to grow our services within the county. We are really working hard to strengthen our relationships with each of the counties and become more integrated with county services. We have been working with Karen McEdigan, which has been very helpful. Rebecca Espino is also helping us to create strengthening our relationship within our department and the county. So we really appreciate that work and your support as we continue to serve the families in our community. So with that, I'll turn it back over to you to.
All right. So when it's time, we'll have Supervisor Campbell read the proclamation. But right now, I'm going to ask the board if you have any clarifying questions.
Only question I'll ask real quick is, when a lot of people hear of your agency, they think it's courts are involved, there's processes. But when you read the last line of the memo, it says you can reach out to the agency to see how we can partner with you to help meet the needs of your children. Is there other services or other ways you can connect people who may not be forced to your agency that you can still help partner with or give resources to?
Thank you for asking that question. There was a day when we were back in the early 2000s, in the 90s, where we were very law enforcement. We were a part of the DA's office, and everything was about enforcing the law. Now we are really working hard as a program to become family-centered services and to become that safety net program to be able to help families navigate between the programs. We can do anything from enforce an entire case to just do parts of that process, accompanying families to court, obtaining stipulations, agreements between parents. We're working to work with our obligors more closely to help with employment services. We can help with several parts of that process, and we're looking to expand that now. We've been very small in our community. We have a really hard time, I think, as the JPA here, because we don't have Tuolumne County Department of Child Support Services as our name. Sometimes it's hard to find us. To Google child support services in Tuolumne, we're working to get that connection made, and you may have seen our ads on TV. We're on buses. We're looking to expand the communication. But to answer your question, we can partner with families to establish parentage, to establish court orders, to take that process all the way through, or to find other services within the community that they need. So we would love for that contact to be made with us, and then we can find out really treating the family as that family unit. What do you need? Every family is different. The makeup of families are different. Every child needs something a little bit different. And so we feel that we have the opportunity to strengthen that family by getting them to the agency that they need if it's not us, which is why we really need to expand our relationships with the community services. And we're working to do that. Hopefully that answered some of your questions.
Yep, thank you, Julie. That's it.
So not seeing any other questions from the board, what I'm going to do now is ask the public if they have any comments they'd like to make. And if so, please come up and thank you.
Well, I will say that I've been able to find them. And when I've gone there with whatever my little soapbox topic issue is, they've always been very receptive and asking for more information. So I really appreciate that.
Thank you. Anybody else? All right, at this time, I'll bring it back to the board for any comments.
My only comment is it's great working with you. You're one of the easiest folks to work with in the county as far as overseeing your department. And yeah, you do great work. And this is about trying to raise awareness, which is why I asked that question. So thank you for continuing in that endeavor, you and your staff.
Supervisor Brandon.
Julie, I was looking at you earlier thinking, boy, I really know her from somewhere. Because I think this may be the first time we've actually seen face-to-face on it, or
Maybe last year at this time.
it might have been last year, but with just Zoom blindness, I had the privilege to be on the board there for 2 years. And I know under your leadership, I was always impressed with the financial health of the organization, the work that was being done. The fact that you're saying, like, come on, we want more people coming in. And the area that you serve is not an easy area. It is massive. It is difficult to reach. So just thank you for what you do and your team does as well. Now, sometimes it's hard where we have a regional JPA or group to, it's like it's over there and it's serving this whole region when really, a portion of that and kind of your whole team, it is a county department. I mean, it would normally be within the county structure there. So even though we're part of this JPA, you're part of the kind of county family. And so anything we can do, it's great to have you here and presenting to us, but just keep on doing the great work.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And by no means do we want to say we want families to be broken and we want families to need our services. But we do know by our research that there are several hundreds of families out there in our communities that need our services and either are afraid, unable, don't know that we're here. So that's why we say we have the capacity to serve more. And thank you for those comments about being integrated in the county. I think that's very important that we're seen as a department. When you said staff reports, I said, I wish we could come up and give a staff report because I really want to be seen as a community within the county. And Supervisor Kirk and Supervisor Campbell are helping us to do that. So thank you for those comments.
Supervisor Goldenberg.
Yeah, just brief comment. JPA, 4 counties. I picked up on the reduction in staff, from, I believe you said 48 to 28. So it's almost half. And just commend you, for the efforts that you're still able to, keep going and producing and helping. Thank you.
And my comments are that although I've not had the pleasure to be on the committee that works with you, back in the day in the early 2000s, I was staff for social services, actually human services, and worked very closely. And I'm trying to remember the name of the director back then. Anyway, she was there for a long time. And it sounds like you've evolved from that model, which I'm really happy to hear. More integrated services. And, I know back in the early 2000s, the Child Support Agency was seen kind of like one-dimensional, and it sounds like you've broadened your reach now, and I commend that. And so, Supervisor Campbell, you have some comments, and then you're going to read the resolution.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I agree with everything my colleagues have said. Julie, it's been a pleasure working with you and your team. Extremely professional organization, and of all of the JPAs and different committees that I've served on, I felt I came into the Child Support Committee with less of an understanding of what that really was. And I feel that I've learned so much about what it means. If you're not involved in that world, there's really not a reason to know that the ethos, the idea of how we can kind of support families, and that it's really not about going after people and being punitive, that approach really didn't work when it was tried. And so now you're doing something different, and that there are still families in our community that could use those services, and we want to make sure that they know about you. And so to that end, I'd like to read the resolution. Whereas the vision of the Central Sierra Child Support Agency is partnering with families to create self-sufficiency, and whereas professional staff of the Central Sierra Child Support Agency work diligently to fulfill the vision by partnering with families involved in more than 4,400 cases, collecting over $11 million in support last federal fiscal year, the Central Sierra Child Support Agency declares its commitment to having a meaningful impact on the families it serves. The Central Sierra Child Support Agency is engaged in educating its customers regarding their cases and community regarding the services it provides. The agency affirms the important role it plays in partnering with parents to support the well-being of children. The agency encourages parents to be accountable for their children, providing them many opportunities to succeed. The agency Child Support Awareness Month recognizes and acknowledges parents who work diligently to support their children to provide both emotional and stable financial stability. The Central Sierra Child Support Agency thanks its partner agencies, and recognizes its child support professionals who strive to continuously improve their customer service and make a difference in the lives of children in our community. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Supervisors of Tuolumne County and the State of California do hereby designate the month of August 2023 to declare Child Support Awareness Month in Tuolumne County, and applauds the Central Sierra Child Support Agency for its continued service to the families throughout the community. There you are.
Thank you very much. And
Thank
I'll
you.
just add that we can be reached at cscsa.org. We have an office over on Morningstar near DMV. So if any potential customers want to ask questions, stop by, give us a call, and we'll be happy to walk them through. Thank you for your time today. Really appreciate you.
And thank you.
So with that, I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Okay, it was moved by Supervisor Kirk and seconded by Supervisor Campbell. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Carries 5-0. Thank you very much, ladies. All right, we're gonna take the next item, information technology, number 13. Heather, could you please read that?
Item number 13, consideration of approval of criteria for offering letters of support for federal funding account broadband infrastructure grant applications, and authorizing Information Technology Director Roger Root to sign letters of support for qualifying applications.
Good morning, Mr. Root.
Good morning, members of the board. Sorry, I'm Roger Root, your IT director. I'm here in place of Lynn. He is not available today, so we downgrade it. As you know, Lynn has been very active with everything surrounding broadband, and there's a lot of stuff going on. Right now, this agenda item really is focusing on just one piece of that giant puzzle that he's been working on. And, you know, Lynn has been doing just a tremendous job advocating for the county in everything related to broadband. This agenda item is really to provide support in providing support letters to ISPs that are going to be applying for the federal funding account grant program. And our goal is to really help those ISPs move their grant applications forward, make sure they meet the requirements for the grant, make sure that it contains the project areas that we really want to focus on. Lynn had provided some additional maps that show some additional areas that we really want to be able to expand on. And we want to partner with these organizations in sharing the information they're going to submit. And it's not in any way tying us from being able to partner at further extents in the future. It also isn't preventing us from being able to continue working with the Golden State Connect Authority. It's just allowing us to help these ISPs move these grant applications forward. This is only one, as I have mentioned, several programs, and there will be a lot of additional opportunities coming forward in the next year. So we are just really asking for you to give us your blessing to move forward with signing letters of support for the ISPs that are submitting for these grants.
Thank you. And it's my understanding this is for the last mile projects, not the middle mile. And my comment would be 15.5 million is not even a drop in the bucket, but it's what we have to work with, so we'll take it. And I wanted to know if any other board members, first of all, have questions for you. Supervisor Brandon.
Great, thank you. This is a little more maybe just for the public benefit on it, but obviously seeing the number and the 200 millions on there, we're not getting $200 million to lay cable everywhere. So I just hoping, can you expand a little bit on, what does that number actually mean, the technologies that'll be employed, and how we're going to be potentially trying to roll this out with ISPs? So a little more reality check on what to expect for the public.
Well, a couple things. One is you did mention that this is last mile, not middle mile. And one of the things that has changed in the last couple of months is that the state middle mile project has moved our 108 corridor into phase 2, which is currently unfunded. So there's going to have to be partnership between some of the larger ISPs that already exist and have some infrastructure that's not being used, and some of the other ISPs that don't have access to that infrastructure today. I think that's going to be key to moving forward, is that the ISPs are going to have to work together to be able to meet the needs of our community. And like you mentioned, 15 million in a 220 or 230 million dollar project most likely is not going to have the impact that we really want. But it's one step forward. So some of the key areas that we've identified through some of the other studies, I think, are going to be important to be part of the projects that the ISPs look at.
Okay, and we're expecting this would probably come in with the bids with private investment or other type of work. I mean, to kind of leverage that. It's not just we're only doing 8% of what's quoted. And okay, thank you.
Any other questions from board members? Supervisor Goldenberg.
Yeah, just in looking at the map,
and just so you know, the map is online. So if you can't see it on here, you can expand it and zoom in online in the broadband portal.
So just wasn't sure, what the approach was going to be as far as prioritizing different areas.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Oh, well, just looking at the map's got all different areas, identified, and I wasn't sure about the prioritization.
It's a menu.
Yeah, and that's actually not truly fully identified. But one of the things that's key to that is what I mentioned before, is that with the ISPs working together with what infrastructure already exists. And you could use the 120 corridor as an example. There's some infrastructure already existing going up 120 that could be expanded for last mile projects around the Groveland area.
Can I expand on that?
Yes.
Supervisor Goldenberg, it's a menu for ISPs to choose from. Which project would they like to build out on? Okay. So it's open.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Any other questions? So we'll go to the public to see if they have any comments for us. Okay, not seeing any. We'll bring it back to the board for any final comments and motion. Supervisor Brandon.
Great, thank you. I think one of the things we've been trying to advocate for this is the local control and technology agnostic funding. That's going to be really critical for this, because when I'm thinking, how do we connect people here? We have to prepare for that 100/100 internet, but there are people that just don't have anything whatsoever for emergency services, not streaming Netflix, but just basic connectivity. And we're going to be having to look at aerial fiber, or having to look at fixed wireless, or looking at these different technologies. And I think it's great that we're going to be letting the experts and our ISPs be able to, I think, guide that strategy. So it's nothing necessarily on this too much. It's sobering to see the total amount it would take to just do a top level, we're going to run fiber to every home, where they just don't get what it's like in a local condition. And I know that both Supervisor Half on the state side, and then myself on the federal side have been advocating vigorously when it comes to the broadband data, when it comes to the actual cost of that, to make sure rural voices have been at the table, and that's incredibly important. I did want to bring up one thing. We've had some early discussions about how we should approach basically laying out broadband within the county. I wanted to just bring a couple of those conversations back up to say that now that we actually have some of the points out there for the grants, how they're going to be allocated, what ISPs are interested, we know that a few have kind of expressed that. Some of the other discussions about what role the county has within that, partnerships or kind of an open bidding process. In my mind, it's how do we get the most efficient rollout of this that connects the most households? How do we have the most competitive grant application? So I learned one thing, that within that grant, I believe you can get up to 4 points per 5% of the actual fiber that you own. 4 points in a grant potentially can make all the difference. And I know when we had that early discussion, there was a lot of, well, we don't want to be an ISP. And I don't really want us to be an ISP. But I do want us to bring home as much bacon as we can to make sure these things happen. And as a silent partner, I could see some benefit in it. So I've had some conversations with Len about that. I think it would be useful for us to maybe see the numbers, what that looks like. Does this give us a leg up? Is it kind of arbitrary? Determine that. And then move forward with what's going to be, I think, the recommended plan of, again, how do we get the most money coming in to lay the most broadband to connect the most people. So thank you.
Thank you. No other comments? I had one. Let's see if I can recapture it. I had said early on in our discussions about broadband that we should not dismiss outright owning any part of infrastructure, but I don't think that the county should own it outright. I think there's still partnerships on the table that can be had, even with middle mile projects, especially if Utopia comes in to help us with our middle mile project, where I can see I think they're a nonprofit, so a public nonprofit partnership. I just don't want to dismiss it out of hand. I think we should be open to considering those types of things. But we're not at the point of making those decisions yet either. So I will entertain a motion at this point.
I will move on staff recommendation.
And I'll second that. So it was moved by Supervisor Brandon and seconded by Supervisor Half. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Carries 5-0. Thank you. Okay, we're going to do, well, let's see. How many more do we have? Actually, 2 more. Well, let's see where the item number 14 takes us in terms of time. I was thinking about doing a break. We had a short one, but let's just see where we get with this. Heather, if you can read number 14, please.
Item number 14, consideration of reducing contingencies in the road fund by $30,000 and recognizing unanticipated revenue and increasing appropriations in the SB1 Transportation Cost Center by $30,000 for the temporary opening of Tuolumne Road North. For-office approval is required.
Okay, good morning. I'm Kim McFarland, Director of Public Works, and with me is Blossom Scott Heim, our Supervising Engineer.
Good morning.
Good morning. So this past winter, the county was hit by a series of 2 prolonged storms that caused quite a bit of damage to many county roads. At least 38 locations were damaged, with Tuolumne Road North, Old Priest Grade, Ward's Ferry, Buchanan Road, Italian Bar Road, Yankee Hill Road, and Lava Road sustaining the worst damage. These roads all suffered major slides that undermined the structural support of the roadway. Public Works staff, along with consultants, have been working on repair solutions for all sites, but Tuolumne Road North, Old Priest Grade, and Ward's Ferry remain closed until major repairs can be made. Anything that we could have repaired, we did so with in-house staff. Obviously, these 3 require a lot more expertise, technical expertise from outside consultants. Tuolumne Road North was closed on March 17th, 2023, after inspections revealed that a large crack was forming in the asphalt and along the shoulder. A geotechnical engineer inspected the site on March 21st, and additional drilling and surveying took place in April and again in June. Tuolumne Road North is a major collector, and as such, it is eligible for funding under the Emergency Relief Program under Federal Highway Administration, rather than us dealing with FEMA. An application was made by Blossom for expedited funding, submitted early in May, and was still under review by FHWA. We know that this road closure has caused a hardship for the traveling public, and we have been working closely with our geotechnical consultant on repair solutions that could get the road open as quickly as possible. The slide was caused by high groundwater saturating a subsurface clay layer extending roughly parallel to the slope. Up until fairly recently, the geotech thought the land was still moving, and we didn't think it was safe to open even temporarily. The repairs for this road will be done in 2 phases. The first phase will involve the installation of horizontal drains under the road, which is still in the design phase. They do have to be sized and placed according to the slide. We hope to have this out to bid in August, September. Additionally, we will have to install survey targets and or inclinometers, which will be installed to monitor the ground movement. The second phase of the permanent repair solution will likely involve drilled piles to anchor the road to the stable rock under the clay layer. Once the first phase is complete, Public Works and our consulting surveyors will begin monitoring the slope for movement on a bi-weekly basis and after the rain events. This monitoring will continue until all improvements are complete. To open Tuolumne Road North temporarily before the first phase of repairs has been completed will require the relocation of the current K-rails, some road surface repairs to make it more drivable, clearing and repairing of the culvert that's on site, the installation of survey targets by outside land surveyors. We'll have to include some slow speed signage and possibly some weight restrictions, and then conduct a baseline survey. Frequent surveying of the targets will be required to monitor for any kind of movement, and our engineering staff will be out there doing regular road inspections to identify any new surface cracking. To ensure the utmost safety for the public, we are proposing that we would reclose the road if any ground movement is detected or if there is a forecast of rain until a geotechnical engineer can reassess and or repairs are completed. As far as financial impact, the estimated cost of the temporary reopening is about $30,000, and I will say that is just a best guess estimate right now. If this action is approved, the new amount in the road fund contingencies would be about $1,551,000. And I will say that really, when it comes to contingencies, we have every dollar of our road fund earmarked for projects, capital projects such as local match, equipment, staff. So it's not the same as contingencies perhaps in solid waste. And then with that, we're just looking for direction from you on how you would like to proceed.
All right, thank you. So questions from the board first. Supervisor Goldenberg.
So when we look at a temporary opening and realizing that there's been studies done as far as the movement, how are we going to address heavier vehicles entering into that area and the potential impacts, whether it be propane trucks, waste management, garbage trucks, commercial trucks, I'm not sure, how we would look at that to what I understand the plight of the residents and, particularly, but anyways, your thoughts there.
We could put a temporary weight restriction on the roadway. However, legally, we cannot restrict commerce traffic or utility traffic or trash pickup, waste management type traffic. So, and then of course, unless CHP is sitting up there, we can't, ensure that large vehicles aren't crossing the road.
Right. The enforcement portion would be difficult at best. Perhaps, public information, press releases, asking for cooperation, just to address this, because we don't want to open it up and then have to shut it back down because of issues. So.
The only thing I would say is that there is a possibility we would have to reclose the road if we have forecast of rain, we couldn't leave it open. So, and if we see movement, because there are heavy trucks or something else triggers it, we don't know what's going on in the subsurface all the time. If one of our inspections revealed some sort of movement, we would have to close it down again.
Understand, and rightfully so.
Supervisor Campbell.
Thank you, Chair. And thank you, Kim and Blossom, for working on this. I mean, we've all heard from the folks that live up there, Ponderosa Hills, and in the region that this road services, and it's, it's a really difficult situation. And you kind of answered the question, so I guess, but I'll ask anyway. I'm just kind of concerned about this is a temporary fix. This is something that is a stopgap until we can do the repairs. Is that full repair? Is it going to happen on the timeline that we're hoping? Because I'm just worried about a temporary fix becoming a permanent fix that we just kind of have to live with, and it almost sometimes makes it more difficult working with the community when you open a road in a temporary capacity and have to close it again, and it's just not quite working out. How sure are we that this is going to be temporary?
The long-term repair of the piles is still in analysis. It hasn't gone to design yet.
Yeah.
We don't have an ETA on when that's going to go out to bid. While we would like to have it go to construction in late fall, early winter, there's no guarantee.
I guess so. We don't have any choice really. It's either we open it in this capacity, in this way, or we just keep it closed. Is that kind of the decision that we're faced with here?
Well, I think that our phase 1 repairs, correct me if I'm wrong, Blossom, but were to install horizontal drains, so moving the water out of the area when it does rain, and that will include monitoring as well. So I would say that with that first step, while it's not the long-term permanent repair, we could possibly keep the road open safer once that work is done going into the rainy season. We just have to continue to monitor it. But right now, there's no way to allow the water to get out of that clay layer. So.
Yeah, and we're having another El Nino year this year, so.
No.
No, I thought we weren't.
That's just wishful thinking.
Okay.
Did I say it out loud? No.
I thought it was confirmed. It's an El Nino. Okay, well, thank you, and thank you for being very diligent and trying to find a solution for this, as it's a big concern up there.
One thing I think I forgot to mention is, because I know this has come up a lot, and we did mention it during Supervisor Kirk's town hall, is that right now, with the ground being dry, we could open up this road for fire emergencies. I mean, you would have to go very slow because of the big hump in the road. But if Ponderosa Hills were trapped for any reason, we could open that road pretty quickly, just for, emergency purposes, and with people standing there and making sure people didn't go over, 15, 20 miles per hour, so.
Any other questions?
Comments?
Supervisor Brandon.
I wanted to ask about some of the other locations that were damaged. In particular, whenever we're talking about addressing even, I think, a very severe issue, but it's just within one area, and we've got other roads that had same storm, similar damage, even if it's lower traffic. Are there other ones which are currently impassable that would be eligible for some type of repair? Because I know I've had to tell my constituents, based on traffic data, some of the roads that, to them, that's how they get to their house, are taking lower priority to this project. And this is kind of doing that again. So are there any that are currently impassable that could be eligible for a repair fund like this as well?
Well, the only ones that I can think of that are closed right now are Old Priest Grade and both sides of Wards Ferry. I don't think there are any roads in your district that are closed, but we do have some major road damage in your district where people are waiting for repairs, like Ibar, Yankee Hill.
Right.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's going to take some time to address all of the damages across the county.
I understand. That's what I wanted to kind of lay out too, is that one of the big differences here at least is that the passability, is that this currently is not passable. The other roads are severe inconveniences, which I know is not an answer that's made a lot of people always happy with it, but I think it's accurate to it. I did want to ask, are we expecting more from the Federal Highway Administration? I mean, is this, with that expedited kind of emergency process, we sent this in May, would we have expected to hear back by now? Is this business as normal, or should we be trying to advocate to get a congressional rep or somebody to call in and try to get attention to this too.
So I just heard last week from my contact at Caltrans that FHWA's had to bring in extra people to process the high volume of applications that they have.
Okay.
So there's just, there's a backlog. Resources across the state were affected by these storms.
Okay. Have we tagged in our federal reps then?
We have not.
Okay.
No, Caltrans does a pretty good job of advocating, but, if we really think we need to, we could go higher.
Okay. And just the last question on it too is you mentioned it would have to be closed down for any rain, inclement weather if it continued to move down, and then the weight restriction. I would think even a truck going across is a pretty minor addition of weight compared to just that volume of dirt, but it seems like that could be substantial. What I would be worried about is people are using this slow or a few or whatever it is, and it gives. I mean, an actual something that potentially could risk loss of life. So is it safe to, with or without the spare, drive on that? Is there a risk of that? Are we pretty sure that it's stable? It's just you got to take it at 5 miles an hour until it's fixed.
Well, this is why we hire outside geotechnical experience. I think that right now to drive on it, there's a lot of risk. We are talking about putting in mitigating factors that reduce the risk so that it's more drivable. So we were talking about surface repairs, and it would be constant monitoring with these survey tags and targets, and also our engineering staff going out and inspecting the roads. So any sign of cracks in the new pavement would be an indication of movement. So I think what we're doing is reducing the risk, but I don't think you can ever say there's zero risk for probably any road in the mountains. So.
Okay. And I guess the question on that is catastrophic sudden collapse without any type of indication that it's dropped, something that would trigger those safety measures.
So
if I could clarify that.
Our geotechnical engineer believes that we could do some of these things to make it safe for temporary travel. And this is where Belasma and I, both being licensed engineers, feel that if it were to rain or we see forecast of rain, we're not prepared to take on that risk. It would be constant monitoring, probably out there all day and all night. So we would have a policy in place that if it was going to rain, we would have to reclose the road.
Okay.
Until a geotech could come out and re-inspect.
Supervisor Kirk.
2 questions, because I was listening to you speak. Once they put in the horizontal drains, we could potentially still be driving on it once those are put in if the rains come.
Yes, so what they're proposing, this is the geotechnical as far as I understand, so again, I'm looking at Blossom. Right now they're doing the design of how big the drains have to be, where the placement of the drains would have to be, and they would, I believe they do some repaving of the road, and we would have to install new survey targets and inclinometers and/or to ensure that that the land is not moving. So it's not guaranteed. That would be the first phase of the reconstruction.
Okay.
The soldier piles that come in the second phase would be the final button up of the road.
So if we approve it today, people drive on it, but then rain's forecasted, close it down until we get those horizontal drains in. And once those come in, then we could potentially be driving on it during the rains, just as long as there's no
and we're hoping that will go out, you said, the end of September you're hoping for bid? Yeah. Okay.
And then my only other question, Blossom, was you said that they're bringing folks in to process because there's so many claims. Does a major collector bump us up in the priority list? Like, is there like a chart where certain communities or certain roads are going to get just higher priority based on, for instance, that it's a major collector?
No, we did have a meeting with FHWA and Caltrans where we talked about the average daily traffic, the use of this road, the access issues, the egress issues. That could potentially, give it a little bit higher priority. But the fact that it's a major collector only differentiates whether FEMA has authority over it or FHWA has authority over it.
Okay. All right. That's it for questions.
All right. At this point, I'll take it to the public. If anybody has comments they'd like to make on this item, please come forward. Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the board for final comments. Any comments? I had one, and that is, I had questions originally, and they got answered over the weekend regarding, how this works, because Old Priest Grade I would have thought was a major collector, and I didn't understand that process very well, and I understand the federal government is the one who makes that determination, not us. And so it was determined by them that Old Priest Grade is not, because we had lots of calls from the public to at least open up one lane on that steep incline. I don't know how that would work, because you'd probably have people wanting to go one way up, and you could only have it open one way, and you'd inevitably have somebody trying to go down or something. So I understand that better, but I did have a question. So the question is, and this is, I know I didn't ask you in advance, so it's kind of putting you on the spot, but estimating man and woman hours for making this special provision to have one lane open, all the extra work that you have to do, can you give any kind of an idea to us? Because that determines man hours, woman hours that will be taken off of something else in order to monitor and keep track of the safety.
Are you talking about for Old Priest Grade or for
No,
Tolmy Road
I'm
North?
sorry, I switched gears back on you. For this particular agenda item for Tuolumne Road North.
Well, it definitely will take some resources away from what we're doing. However, we tried to include that in the overall estimate of $30,000.
Okay.
So, but like I said, it was an estimate, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We've gone to the public, so any other?
Just my
comments?
comment is, again, thank you guys. I know you are getting hounded because I'm hounding. I'm not hounding you. I'm getting hounded. You're getting hounded. But the reality of it is, it's a major collector, and if we have an option to do something, and for me, it's if the consultants say we can make it safe and mitigate it, and it's only going to cost $30,000, and I understand it's going to pull from a few things. I think it's a small price that we can pay to open up a major collector. So thank you guys for that work. But also, you brought it up, the fire hazard is very real. And for any board member who doesn't go by Solseyville School, in a few weeks when Somerville opens, those hundreds, perhaps thousands of cars that come down Tuolumne Road are going to go down 108. They're going to turn left at the outpost, and they're going to hit traffic that is backed up to Solseyville School. And I guarantee you we'll have traffic out 108. So there's either way, there's gonna be somewhat of a safety issue on 108 in the Solseyville School or Tuolumne Road. And if we can do this again, fire safe, and help these kids get to school, I think it's a small price to pay. And I'm just hoping that we can get those drains in, and that will stabilize. But thank you guys for the work. I really appreciate it, and take everything I say in my emails with a grain of salt, because I know you guys are doing what you can.
Supervisor Brandon.
Great, thank you. The only hard part of this is, we've got definitely a clear problem, but within one specific community where we have a county-wide issue. I just want to kind of recognize that even though it's not really impacting anybody that is within my district and my constituents, we are one community, and this is something that I agree for a reasonable amount we should address, because waiting till fall to have that road fully fixed and repaired is going to be the amount of time and hassle and maintenance on people's cars untenable. I just want to say that, I think on this board we're a team. We're also, like I said, one community with it. I know there are things within my district too right now that I'm not going to bring up. They're not relevant to this discussion. I think we could all name those things. This is an opportunity to be able to problem solve the stuff that we are at the earthworm level understanding to try and fix. I've had that issue with Rawhide Bridge right now and the fire risk that's around that area. So I'm going to support this, and I hope that it will address that while we're working on getting those expedited funds. I did want to ask or recommend one last thing too, is that we do reach out. While Caltrans, I'm sure, is advocating across the state where there are scarce resources, I have no doubt other areas are making sure their congressional reps are calling in. And so if there's anything that can be done to be able to expedite that, just to make contact, let them be aware of it, let's do that. Because while this is a temporary fix for a bit, if we can get it before the fall or the winter, all the better, right?
So I'm not seeing any other comments, so I'd entertain a motion at this point.
I'll move to accept staff recommendation.
I think we have to do direction.
What?
Yeah, let's see.
Direction, and we need 4/5 vote on this, if you guys decide to use the road fund for the 30,000.
Just a technicality, there is no recommendation within the item.
It's whether to
Yeah, we have to
do it or
provide
not.
direction first, so.
So if somebody would,
The agenda language, I think, is the recommendation of staff of reducing contingencies in order to temporarily reopen Ptolemy Road. No, so I think that Supervisor, you could just move on that. Can't hear her.
Okay, that would be my motion.
okay. And did I hear a second?
I'll second.
Okay, so it was moved by Supervisor Goldenberg and seconded by Supervisor Brandon. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, that carries 5-0. All right, we're on to our last item before closed session. So Heather, would you please read number 15?
Item number 15, consideration of waiving the 10% penalty from Kennedy Meadows Resort and Pack Station for annual payments not paid within 30 days of June 15th, 2023.
Ms. Peterson.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Liz Peterson with the County Administrator's Office. So in 2013, PG&E granted the land that Kennedy Meadows Resort and Pack Station is on to the county. And with that grant of the land, the county also took on the lease that PG&E had with the tenant, which is Kennedy Meadows Resort and Pack Station. And so the county now oversees that agreement. So there are certain terms to the lease, as there are terms to any lease. And a couple of those terms is that the tenant is required to pay an annual rental amount of $15,000, as well as before June 15th of each year, the tenant is required to pay the county 3% of gross sales for horse-related activities and 7% of all other gross sales for all other activities in the previous calendar year, but is able to deduct rent from that overall payment to the county. So the lease agreement also says that if the rent and or percentage of gross sales owed are not paid to the county within 30 days of the due date, so that would be July 15th, that there is a 10% late fee that the tenant is required to pay. So for last year's gross sales at Kennedy Meadows, the county should have been paid, as I mentioned, on July 15th. When I wrote this memo last week, the payment hadn't been received, but the payment was received yesterday from the tenant. So basically, I'm here today requesting that your board consider waiving that 10% penalty fee. The tenant has requested this, and as you all know, as you just heard, unprecedented winter storms have had a massive impact on a variety of things, including Kennedy Meadows' ability to open. They opened about a month later than what they say they typically would, which of course has an impact on their sales. In addition, because the meadows are still so wet from all of the rain and the snow that's melting, they're not able to do their full horse program like they normally would, which is one of their larger money makers. So yes, so based on the gross sales of last year, the penalty would be a little over $13,000. And so the tenant is requesting this one-time waiver of the fee. And again, that would be for the payments due for this year only. All other terms of the lease would remain in effect, and then the penalty would still apply in future years. Yeah, so that's all I have. Looking for, or happy to answer any questions that you have, and looking for your board to approve the waiver of that late fee.
Okay, questions from board members? Do we have any? Supervisor Brandon.
Thank you. Just to our knowledge, do we have previous requests like this based on some of the previous storms that we had had, or is this kind of the first of a kind we're aware of?
This is the first I'm aware of for Kennedy Meadows,
Okay.
But I do know that there may be others coming. Our concessionaire at Standard Park also might make a similar request, different issues, but nevertheless, requests for these types of waivers do happen from time to time.
Okay, thank you.
Any others? Okay, so we'll go to the public to see if there are any comments.
Well, it appears this contract has been in effect for over 10 years, so they knew what the terms were. So my answer is no. Because once you give a waiver to one, they're going to come through the floodgates and you're going to be giving waivers to everybody. And these are the rules and you know what they are. So if you were flush with funds, that would be great, but you're not, so no.
Anyone else? Okay, I'll return to the board for final comments. Supervisor Goldenberg?
Yeah, I don't have any objections to doing this. There was a lot of discussion, at the time about the opening up of Sonora Pass, opening up, for people to get to Kennedy Meadows. And I think it really did happen in a pretty timely manner, no matter there was, again, discussions that it wasn't going to happen till much later on, and it happened earlier. And I just commend, our county road department as well as Caltrans in getting that opened up. But again, I don't see a problem with waiving this penalty.
Thank you. Supervisor Brandon?
Great, thank you. Received a few questions from the public about this, just what the heck's happening. I just want to say that as far as what's owed within the concession contract, the businesses are responsible. We're not here to guarantee a successful business with that. We want to make a healthy environment with it, but a healthy environment, stable and fair. This, though, based on the exigent circumstances from all the weather, and simply for the fact that this is the penalty, I think it'd be pound foolish to not consider waiving this year. And I think the expectation definitely should be set and will be set that this is because we had an unprecedented storm year. We get a little bit of snow or rain or something that comes in and it impacts the business a little bit, that's not going to be the same level of issue to try and do any of these special kind of actions. So I'm comfortable with that. I think they are in a unique situation. We had a very unique year in particular, and we're only waiving the penalty fees. They do provide a lot to the county, and that has to be taken into consideration. So I'm in support.
Anybody else?
Yeah, basically what Supervisor Brandon said. Unprecedented year. This is why I fought so hard to work with our district rep with Caltrans, because if we miss that opening weekend, people get crushed. And Matt did a good job of providing the receipts, 35% from last year. And again, this is just the penalty. This isn't to waive any other fee. This is the penalty fee. So I would hope that we would be able to support our local businesses, and should other people who provide, we have to focus solely on this. I have no problem approving this, and thank you, staff, for working with him and for taking the time to meet with him, because I know he's been stressed out, as a lot of the business owners at the 108 corridor who rely on that corridor being open. They've been hit pretty hard this year. 35% is a big deal.
And my comment is that I concur with my colleagues. And seeing no other comments, I will entertain a motion.
So I'll move on staff recommendation.
I'll second.
So it was moved by Supervisor Kirk and seconded by Supervisor Brandon. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, that carries 5-0. All right, we're at the point now before closed session where we can do reports, and wanting to know who wants to start. Yeah. Okay. Sarah, do you have anything about Tracy or Eric? And Heather? Yes. All right.
Okay, I can turn my mic on. Thank you. I just wanted to take a brief moment and notify the public that the meeting minutes template has been updated for the Board of Supervisors meetings. The driver for this was to increase transparency for all the motions and votes made by the board, so that the public can better see and identify your actions in board meetings. So other than that, it was just to clean things up and make it easier to read for the public.
Thank you. Supervisor Campbell.
Okay, thank you, Chair. Yeah, so I've spent a lot of time in the forest in the past 2 weeks for a variety of reasons. Some because I just enjoy it, and then others because it's so critical to the safety and our existence as a county. I was able to participate in a Yosemite Stanislaus Solutions tour of some of the areas that have been treated with prescribed burning in our county, up on 4 and 13 off that road past Strawberry and that area. And, you know, it's burned, so some of it's black and it doesn't look great, but from a forest health perspective, it looks phenomenal, because what you see in those areas is exactly what it should look like, which is where you have understory, you have brush, you have some of the smaller trees burned, but everything that's above a certain point is still healthy and growing back. And next year, if I plan to walk through that area, and it's gonna look beautiful. And the nice thing about it is, once you treat one of these areas with fire, it's good for 8 to 10 years, and so you don't have to treat it again. But YSS and the Forest Service and the county are working together really well on these projects. They're hoping to treat 13,000 acres this year. They were able to kind of shoehorn in a lot of extra acres because of the mild spring that we had. And it made me think about this other element, which is that I was able to participate in a League of Women Voters discussion about a film that was called Reimagine Wildfire. And not to go into too much detail, but the film basically said that there should be less focus on forest management and more focus on home hardening. And I was one of the panelists of the 3 panelists there, and all 3 of us kind of disagreed with that premise, is that you have to do both. You have to do the fuels management, and you have to take personal responsibility for your property and your home itself and the materials it's built out of. And that brings me to the next topic, which is that in our fire safety committee, we're talking a great deal about how we're rolling out the new vegetation management ordinance and communicating that to the public. And so I'm sure at some point in the near future, this board's going to see the kind of the education materials that are coming out about that. It's very succinct. There's 3 versions of it. One is just this is what the law is. One gives an in-depth description to people about what they actually need to do on their property, which of the questions I'm getting, and I'm sure everybody's getting, that's the main thing, is people want to follow the law. They want to do the right thing. They just don't know exactly what the rules are. So that's going to be a process. We're not doing the heavy-handed enforcement in the first 2 years. It's just kind of getting people up to speed on what the requirements are. And then what hammers home why that is important, I'm trying to connect all these things together. So I had the fortune of being able to camp up in Kennedy Meadows, which we just talked about. I was up there Saturday and Sunday, enjoying the area. I had planned on going up early Friday, but as I'm loading the kids in the truck, I get a call that there's a fire up on Mount Knight in the Jupiter area that I'm sure we're all familiar with. And without going into too much detail, because it's still under investigation, the cause of the fire, where the fire started, there was a group of people, and they all scattered and just left it burning. And so I got frantic calls from people that lived up there. They were down there fighting the fire until resources could get to that spot. And if you know where that area is, it's very hard to get to. And it's just, you know, the idea that there are people that still behave like that is pretty shocking to me. And to me, that hammers home the need for some stronger rules about how people having responsibility for their own private property. And if a fire starts on your property, you need to stay there. So there might be a criminal investigation about it, because there was a lot of shady stuff going on in that area. So those are kind of some of the things I've been thinking about and working on this weekend. Fortunately, that fire was put out. There was resources available to do a significant number of drops on that area. But if that wasn't available, who knows? Because it's a very fire-prone area. So just some of the concerns and things we're working on here. So.
Great. Thank you. I'm going to go to Supervisor Kirk next. I'm really interested in hearing from both Supervisor Brandon and Goldenberg about their NACO experiences, so I'm going to save them for last. All right,
You're
thank
saving
you.
the best for last?
Yeah.
Oh, geez. I'll make mine quick. Regular meetings, as usual, but the reason why Waste Management was here this morning is, for those of you who don't know, the transfer station went down. I've heard anywhere from 24 hours to 3 days, and so I asked, I'm going to get more information, but basically I was told by some people who haul trash that they were, when they got to Waste Management, that they were turned away, and one person said they had to go to Merced. So that I've been looking into that, trying to get clarification, trying to see what a contract says, because like we've had Waste Management out here, and they say, Waste Management is so critical and it's health and hazardous, and so then my question is, well, how do we keep a transfer station down for 3 days? So just making sure they have the proper equipment to stay open. It's one thing for a homeowner to maybe not be able to drop trash off for a few days, but when we have Burns Refuse and other people bringing, big trucks, we got to make sure we can facilitate that. So that's why they were here. I'm still looking into that a little bit. And then rather really good timing. I'm going to be meeting with Ponderosa Hills. The homeowners up there, they keep stressing out about Tuolumne Road, especially with all these fire starts going on. A lot of people are stressed out, so I'll actually have really good news to bring to them. On Thursday, I'm going to have a little specific town hall with them at the pool there. But there's other issues coming up as well that I wasn't aware about because of Tuolumne Road, which was the school issue, which we brought up today, but then also I guess they haven't been receiving some trash services as well because the road was closed. So it's kind of impacting a lot of different areas, but hopefully with us being able to get that temporary opened, will alleviate a lot of those issues for Ponderosa Hills. And regarding the fire thing, I got a tour. I may have said this a few weeks ago, but I got a tour with U.S. Forest Service of all those prescribed burn places. And I wrote a little blog and I put it out to Tween Heart Homeowners Association. I'm going to put it out more later, but we really don't, it doesn't drive me nuts. It's just the way the world is. But, I go to these meetings, these public meetings, and I tell them, do you guys know about Cerro Project and what we're doing? And maybe 1 out of 100 does. It's like, dude, you guys don't understand. This is a phenomenal thing going on. This is nationwide. We're getting selected, and the money just keeps rolling in, and the projects keep rolling in. We got doctors down in the Bay Area who are coming up here and doing, testing on different fuel models and fire starts. And we're really lucky, and we have something really good here. And so we just need to keep touting our success in that because, we talk about lots of things, but we have not lost the 108 corridor to a mega fire. And if that's the one thing that this board and boards in front of us can continue to support and keep from happening, that's the greatest success that this community will never recognize, but will never have to live through a mega fire. So I'm really, really stoked for the work going up there. And if you guys have a chance in the future, get a hold of Jason and go get a tour because it's really cool. All right, that's it.
Thank you. So who wants to go first? Supervisor Brandon.
Well, I had a second on my list, but I'll just go off with the NACO. Thank you again for approving of that request. I think it was a very productive conference. Actually, it's really frustrating because there's 8 different steering committees. They all happen simultaneously. And so being on the broadband technology one during a historic high water mark for all of that means you can't be on the public lands one. It means you can't be on the natural resources or the government and finance. And so I think it's a really good space to engage. I know that we can't all afford to go to every single conference with that, but I did want to say that it's easy to become a member of these committees, and most of the meetings are on Zoom. They have really good discussions, good speakers, and opportunities present themselves through that, where I was able to go speak with one of the members of the U.S. Senate about the broadband fabric. Walked into her office and she said, all right, let's get rid of the pleasantries. We've got 30 minutes. What do you need? That's very cool. We need to have those types of conversations across just a bunch of different fields. And I didn't at first, I think in my first year, quite understand the role of NACO because we're so state frustrated and dominated. But there is a lot that happens with the federal government that's behind the scenes of what the state does that's really important. So I wanted to encourage everybody to get involved with that. Attended our committee. We had some very good presentations. I think they were more helpful to some of the others because we've been in a position of already challenging the fabric, already having our own provider. So we continue to be in a very good spot, and I presented a little bit about what Tuolumne County is doing as a rural area that does have the staff, but only one, who's doing a very good job, and we're being very efficient. Everything passed through there, including those that I co-sponsored related to rural cellular service rollout and open access broadband networks with Yuba County Supervisor, and did so unanimously. We have a new second vice president from NACO, it's J.D. Clark. And also the Rural Action Caucus gave an update on the public lands. Utah bragged that they were the only state so far to have everybody that has actually paid all that 1% that was asked to start that institute. I know that we have, and it was good to be there while they're kind of throwing stones to say, yeah, but we did it. We pitched in, and that's a good thing. A lot of discussion about the farm bill that's happening. This is just less relevant to us because that is earmark city, and our congressman does not write earmarks, so that is what it is. Right now, a lot of other counties are focused on their 1 to 2 things they've managed to get into the farm bill. And I had a really good tour. Please check. I got some photos, so come ask me about it. But it's called Loaves and Fishes. It's a 51-acre tiny home village just outside of Austin. Interesting, Texas, outside of incorporated cities, does not have any land use zoning prescriptions, which is one of the reasons they're able to go a lot quicker. If you know me, I'm not a big fan of zoning in general, except when it has a really, really good reason to exist. They were able to build this 500-unit tiny home thing that is it's public-private, but it's mostly private philanthropy, along with some of the ARPA money. Roughly $80,000 per unit with a cost of operation of about $20,000 to $24,000. Plus they pay rent. They have an e-commerce studio where they do art. Somebody sold one of their pieces for $10,000. And it was a very interesting idea, I think, of a very efficient way. We're talking about the expense of a lot of these units to move forward. 2 quick things. One, I'm in the process, and I've written a draft of a revised Veterans Committee resolution. This is just to clean up the membership. Currently, it has 16 different voting members, which makes quorum a big issue. If a few people don't show up, it's always teetering on the edge of not having quorum, which is something I wanted to address. That happened actually at the last meeting, just because there was an event in town. Second is with the Natural Resource Committee, as discussed about water stuff. I've created a draft that's in discussion. I believe staff want further board direction on just the details of who's going to be on there, but please engage if that's something you're interested in. Last thing I just wanted to highlight. Every district has their issues. I've got the least amount of 4, except maybe Dave's district. We all kind of have different area things. In Jamestown and Columbia, it's homelessness. That is probably the biggest issue, where I know Supervisor Campbell talks about the pothole calls and all of that. I'm like, I don't get too many calls about potholes. I do get calls about homeless encampments. Most of those people are within that area, and it does lack a lot of the services, and we don't have the housing needed to fix it. I wanted to bring up that Rawhide Bridge in particular is kind of an example of the worst, because we know that we have homeless populations here, we have encampments, and that's just a reality. We can wish it away, but it's not practical. That is not something in the cards with all the restrictions. But what we're talking about, a bridge over a river with a fire risk, where there's pedestrian danger, and a high level of attention there, that's a huge concern. I know we gave direction before about a critical infrastructure ordinance, talking about exactly those types of sites, and that staff are working on that. I also want to say that I've made requests to see a very limited fuel reduction effort done just within that immediate area. A no-cell ordinance for ABC. We have a few problematic individuals that consistently drink and cause a lot of issues and make Main Street and the park inaccessible. Talk to the local business owners to harden their sites there, and asking that Public Works establish a no parking zone on either side. Eventually, that area is going to be redone as we look at the Rawhide Bridge project, but I'm asking for your support on some of these things because it feels sometimes like they're Band-Aids, and unfortunately, that's just the tools that we have based on what the state and courts have given us, because the deputies have been out, and the clinicians have been out, and the social workers have been out. They've been out multiple times. Fish and Game's been out. Caltrans has been contacted. We have to be able to do something to go clear these things, because this is something that can happen in other areas. What was probably a guy under a bridge for a long time, which is not ideal, but it existed. overnight, within a week, became a mini Camp Hope around a primary highway right off that area. It could happen to any one of our districts. So I'm asking for your support with staff, and I know that we have a lot of important projects happening right now that we're able to look at addressing this, because to my constituents, this is something they drive by every day. They deal with some of the worst elements of this, and I know we're taking action to be the actual solutions, but we kind of got to fix the emergencies as they pop up, and these are some of the solutions I found that I think will make it better for those that I represent. So, thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Goldenberg.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Well, I, along with Supervisor Campbell, attended the, the League of Women Voters session. It was well received. There was some comments made, about, how do you look at the overall aspects, but it really does come down to that it's the solution is a combination, right? And it's all encompassing, whether it be fuel breaks, defensible space. We've got huge, grant that came in, $10 million on the defensible space. Then the hardening, which, again, $20 million, multi-year project. But I do firmly believe that, as Supervisor Campbell mentioned, that people need to take personal responsibility, for protecting their property, and we'll help to the extent that we can. But anyways, it was a good session. We just was mentioned here, talking about waste management. Recently, actually, just this past weekend, I had the opportunity of, on a personal level, of assisting cleaning out my father-in-law's belongings. And so I visited waste management facilities in Sacramento several times. And then I look at, I came home with a load, here, back in Sonora. And, they do a really good job, overall. Are there problems at times? Sure. But, I think that they're pretty cognizant and very helpful, that I saw. So looking at NACO, my goodness, so many sessions, so many things going on. And as Supervisor Brandon, mentioned that you can't get to every session. There's just so many they're all at the same time. You do the best you can. I attended many sessions, just including finance and pensions, justice, public safety, policy. Had some discussion there about, our concerns that Supervisor Haff, had regarding, the, moving forward on programs. There was actually a lot of value in the exhibit hall because there was many different exhibitors that had a lot to offer. Excuse me. Went to a session on Social Security, retirement planning, Rural Action Caucus. California was so well represented, at this conference. I mean, largely so. So that was really good to see. Attended, they had sessions on NACO Arts and Culture, which is people, know my own feelings are that, I think there's, very real economic benefits there. Sorry, just stepping through the sessions here. They had a session on 9/11 emergency communications. And then the Western Region Caucus meeting, which originally I was scheduled to go to St. George, Utah, for their meeting there. Was unable to make that because of some board commitments mainly. So the ability for us to participate, from, the state level at NACO, interestingly enough, just walking down one hallway, there was a display, and I looked at it at first, and I went, "Oh, is that Maricopa?" No, it was Mariposa County. Had a presence there. They had a booth, and I would just like to say that when Supervisor Brandon mentioned loaves and fishes, Sacramento has a pretty strong group there, and it's in the North Sacramento area. I've personally donated and been to their facility. So he mentioned that he saw something just outside of Austin. But, those groups are, they're throughout, the nation. So anyways, that's pretty much what I've got.
Thank you. Well, I've got a couple of things to report and a couple of future things for this coming week to also talk about. So for the first time since I have been with Access Tuolumne, we have a full board, and it is full of movers and shakers, really good people, cross-section of business and education, and we're doing our bylaws. I don't usually report on my usual commitments for committees, but this is something to celebrate. There's new bylaws that are coming for our next meeting to be put into place, and we've got a great program going with Access Tuolumne for now and into the future. Second, this announcement is really exciting to me because it's a project that I started working on in 2001, but we didn't have UC Extension help on it until just recently, and that's the USDA meat processing facility. It's moving forward. We've had a couple of meetings. We've got Flavie Andouin, I don't know how she's French last name, Audouin, something like that, who is helping along with Amanda Follendorf and a bunch of stakeholders, no pun intended there, to help with the liftoff of this survey, and it was launched yesterday. So it's going out to all the different livestock users. Now this is pig, goat, sheep, and beef, steer. For all of the ranchers that have livestock to see if there is enough need, enough demand to put a USDA certified meat processing facility in this region. And so it's launched for the whole month, and it's going out to all of the affiliate associations, Farms of Tuolumne County, Cattlemen's Association, Farm Advisor, Ag Commissioner, you name it. Those agencies and organizations are sending it out, and hopefully we'll get wide and broad participation, and then we'll see if there's enough need. So that was very exciting. I attended the Groveland Housing Element meeting. It was the first such meeting for the county. They had a couple of meetings on the same day on the 26th, and it was fairly well attended for Groveland, and they were surprised that they were first. So anyway, let's see. So moving forward, I just want to make sure, because we are not going to be doing reports on the 8th. That's our special meeting. I wanted to make note that something in the future, two things in the future I'm going to be attending in case any supervisor wants to get with me before I go. The first one is on Wednesday, August 9th. I'm going to finally be able to participate in the 2023 2Care Range Tour. And it'll be a retrospective on the rim fire 10 years later. So I'm looking forward to being part of that. And then on Friday, the 11th, I was invited by Congressman McClintock's office to attend the Western Caucus Foundation Summerfield Tour and Policy Forum, but not for the whole week. This has U.S. senators and members of Congress all coming from the West, from the Western states, coming to Yosemite, and I will be participating in the Policy Forum on Friday, the 11th. So I just wanted to make note of that. And with that, I think we will go to the closed session items. And Heather, would you please read all three?
Item number 16, conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, government code. Sorry, one moment. Government code 54956.9D2, one case. See attached memorandum per Fowler v. City of Lafayette, 2020, 46 CA 5th 360. Item number 17, closed session conference with real property negotiations, price and terms, authority government code section 54956.8, negotiators Tracy Riggs, county administrator, related to property located at 18740 State Highway 108, Jamestown, California. Assessor parcel numbers 059-050-030-00 and 059-050-031-00 and negotiating parties Miners Motel LLC. Item 18, closed session conference with real property negotiations, price and terms, authority, government code section 54956.8, negotiators Tracy Riggs, county administrator, related to property located at 136 East Columbia Way, Sonora, California. Assessor parcel number 035-241-013-00 and negotiating parties Satellite Health, Inc.
So at this point, I'd like to ask if there's any public comment on any of these three closed session items. Seeing none, I know that we need to report out on one of them, and I'm not sure. We'll go and do as many of these closed session items as we can until 12, and then we will take a break until 1:30 and come back after 1:30. So it will be, I'm trying to give direction here, sometime probably after 1:30 where we can report out.
Sorry, Supervisor Happ. What we were just discussing is there are no other items besides the
Right.
closed sessions.
Right.
So if you wanted to report out immediately thereafter, you could. You wouldn't have to reconvene at a later time. So up to whatever your board. Just want to bring that up as an option.
So we can do, there's only one closed session item that we have to report out on,
Correct.
and so we could do that before we go to lunch.
Yes.
I
and
think
then you
that's an
would just
excellent
end the
idea.
meeting. Yes.
Yeah, then we don't have to have access to Wallamy waiting around for us. Thank you. Good suggestion. So we'll do that. Okay, we're going to convene in the law library, and we'll be back with a report out at some point pretty soon. Am I on? Yes, I am. You guys ready? Okay. We're waiting. Are you ready? Okay. Are you going to come sit down? They're filming us, so they're filming, so. Yeah. All right, welcome back. I have a report of the closed session for August 1st, 2023. It was closed session item number 16, and the report is that Supervisor Goldenberg moved and Supervisor Haff seconded, and by a vote of 5-0, the board authorized County Council to sign a retainer agreement with the law firm of Atkinson, Adelson, Loya, Rude, and Romo, which is replacing Rene Public Law Group as counsel to defend the county in this matter. No other reportable actions were taken. And that concludes our meeting. Thank you very much. Yes, you do.